Now turning to EAA AirVenture, it's making Whitman Regional the busiest in the world. Appleton International is also helping provide relief from that incoming traffic. The workload tripled during the week of AirVenture. Ashley Robinson shows us how they're keeping up with that surge.
Chris, Cami, while EAA is happening in Oshkosh, Appleton is managing its own influx of flights, jumping from about 100 a day outside of EAA to more than 300 during the event. The Appleton Flight Center is seeing a wide mix of traffic, from private pilots and volunteers to business flights dropping in and out. Airport staff say operations have increased more than 75% in the past week, and preparing for that surge starts months in advance. They're also seeing planes arrive from around the world, including as far as Switzerland.
We'll have all kinds of people here for a week, people here for 2 weeks. We had a float plane here for over a month. We have business personnel that are just flying in, dropping off cargo or dropping off their volunteers or people working the booth and getting right back out in the air 30 minutes later. We have the whole spectrum here down at the Flight Center. And
part of what helps keep things moving smoothly, the Appleton Flight Center has roughly 80 EAA volunteers on site, in addition to their entire staff. Here in Appleton, the key is coordination from air traffic control and ground crews to keep those EAA arrivals moving safely and on time. Once the show wraps up in Oshkosh, traffic here is expected to drop back to normal levels. Chris, Cami, back to you.